My boyfriend had a white moonlight who died young. Every year on the anniversary of her death, he'd go to the cemetery to mourn. He treated her parents better than his own. Finally, one day, I couldn't take it anymore. I randomly picked a tombstone at the cemetery and started weeping hysterically in front of him. I even claimed it was my deceased ex from years ago. Now, we're even. Liam looked at the tombstone and asked me with difficulty, "Your ex was born in 1969? I thought for a moment, then firmly replied, "That's right, older men have more flavor." The photo of the old man on the tombstone looked very distinguished. I could only apologize silently in my heart. "Sorry, sir, but I'd been suffering for too long, and today I had to let it all out." Liam's face turned pale as he asked me, "Hannah Lewis, what do you mean by this? Are you deliberately trying to upset me?" I wiped my face. "Liam, you can go to the cemetery every year to mourn your white moonlight, but I can't cry a little for my old baby?" He immediately got angry. "If I'd known you were such a shameless woman, I would have never dated you." I opened my compact and reapplied some makeup. Calmly, I said, "Perfect timing, I don't want to continue either. Let's break up." I'd seen breakups on the street, but never at a cemetery. Liam angrily stormed off. I turned to leave as well when I suddenly heard a voice behind me. "Son, I knew it. Your dad has someone else, and now I've caught him red-handed." A well-dressed middle-aged woman curled her finger. "Tell me clearly, what's your relationship with Arthur Bell?" Beside her was a man in a uniform, holding a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. I quickly explained, "Auntie, I don't know your husband, it's a complete misunderstanding." She didn't believe me and grabbed my hand tightly. "Then why were you crying so heartbroken in front of that tombstone?" I was at a loss for words. Fortunately, the man stepped forward to intervene. "Mom, stop making a scene. Don't you know what kind of person Dad is?" The woman looked sorrowful and began recounting her husband's indifference to her over the years. Finally, as she spoke, she burst into tears in front of the tombstone. It was then that I noticed the man in the photo was wearing a police uniform. I think I'd even seen him in the news recently. He was a police officer who died in the line of duty. I knew I had committed a grave offense. I apologized profusely and expressed my regret. Finally, I managed to calm the emotional woman down. When I got home, I packed up all the items Liam had given me and threw them away. To hell with him and his white moonlight, I couldn't take it anymore. Actually, I understood perfectly well that when he pursued me, it was only because I somewhat resembled his white moonlight. But after we got together, I fully realized it. The living can't compete with the dead. There are 24 solar terms in a year, 7 major holidays, birthdays, and anniversaries of death. He had to go to the cemetery to pay respects for every single one. At this rate, he should just buy a burial plot next to his white moonlight so they could be neighbors after he died. But I didn't expect that after we broke up, Liam would desperately beg to get back together. He'd wait for me outside my company every day, picking me up and dropping me off morning and night. Occasionally, he'd even prepare heart-shaped flowers and breakfast. Even though I had made it clear we were over. I wasn't a substitute for anyone, but he still wouldn't give up. Liam was my boss. Though not my direct supervisor, he used office rules to pressure my superiors. He forced me to submit. When he couldn't achieve his goal, he used a client dinner as an excuse to force me to entertain and drink. I looked at my bank balance. My mother's surgery costs for next month were still unpaid. I couldn't afford to lose this job now. I had to grit my teeth and follow along. A group of old men sat drinking and bragging at the banquet table. Women were just decorations, there to set the mood. Liam forced me to drink. He threatened, "Hannah Lewis, your mother is still in the hospital waiting for money." I gritted my teeth, tilted my head back, and took a big gulp of wine. The old men all cheered. The party ended, and I was still too drunk to stand. Liam helped me into the car. In the dark underground parking lot, I suddenly noticed a strange look in his eyes. "Hannah Lewis, I told you, you can't escape my grasp." His eyes behind his glasses gradually turned sinister, like a predator who had smelled blood. I relied on my remaining consciousness to struggle, but my strength couldn't overpower a man. When I was about to grab my phone to call the police, Liam suddenly pulled out a fruit knife from his pocket. The cold blade touched my carotid artery. I sobered up more than half. What do you want to do? Liam opened his phone and gestured. I booked a hotel room across the street. Come play with me there for a night, and I'll let you go. Dream on. He pressed harder, the blade stung. If I dared to resist now, I'd be in the crime news tomorrow. Okay, I'll go with you. He forced me to link arms with him, walking out like a normal couple. My legs were a bit wobbly, and he took the opportunity to wrap his arm around my waist. Outside, it was getting dark. The hotel was just across the street. The traffic light started counting down. If I crossed the road, I would no longer have a chance to escape. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure. The police officer in uniform whom I had met that day at the cemetery. He was about to cross the street from the other side. The red light turned green. The crowd began to move, and just as we were about to pass each other, I suddenly shouted, "Officer Bell, save me!" Arthur Bell was a police officer with a high degree of alertness. It only took him a second to react, immediately realizing I was in danger. I seized the opportunity to break free from Liam, stumbling into his arms. The eyes of the people around us began to turn towards us. Liam angrily argued, "Hannah Lewis, you're my girlfriend." I clung to Arthur Bell's sleeve as if grasping a life raft. Putting on the best acting performance of my life, "Husband, I was wrong, I shouldn't have looked for another man, please forgive me." If I didn't mess up this relationship now, Liam could completely use his status as my boyfriend to force me away. Perhaps my acting skills were too realistic. The people around had already begun to criticize my immoral behavior. Arthur Bell knelt down and helped me up from the ground. "It's okay, your husband forgives you." These words, once spoken, made the surrounding crowd stare intently at us. Liam gripped my hand. "Hannah Lewis, what are you doing? If you continue to make trouble, I will." He hadn't finished his sentence when Arthur Bell twisted his arm behind his back, forcing him to the ground. Requesting backup at South High Road. 10 minutes later, 2 local police officers arrived. They put Liam in the police car. My limbs were weak, and I collapsed to the ground, the wound on my neck throbbing. The local police officer saluted Arthur Bell. "Captain Bell, how do you want to handle this?" He frowned slightly and said softly, "Take him to the station to file a report for disturbing public order. I'll be there later." After the police took Liam away, he turned back to me, offering his hand to help me up. "How are you? Can you walk on your own?" I nodded. "Thank you, Captain Bell." It was just a polite remark. I didn't expect him to seriously ask me back, "How do you plan to thank me?" I checked my bank account. I had 200,000 dong left, enough to treat him to a street food meal. To my surprise, he suddenly chuckled. "I was just kidding." Arthur Bell took me to the station to file a report. Seeing that my hand was scratched, he gave me a band-aid. "Next time something like this happens, don't panic, call the police immediately." I nodded vigorously. Who knew the man I'd known for so long could be so inhumane? After finishing the report at the station, Liam maliciously warned me. If we didn't reach a reconciliation agreement, he would make my life at the company unbearable. Plus, he hadn't caused me any serious harm. With no other option, I had to sign the reconciliation paper. After leaving the station, Liam changed his attitude again, promising me a promotion and a raise. He also pleaded with me not to tell anyone about this. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to live peacefully at the company. I thought for a moment, deciding it was better to avoid more trouble, and agreed. I didn't expect that this agreement would almost cost me my life. After returning to the company, Liam didn't bother me for a while. But every day after work, he would wait downstairs at the company, annoying me, demanding to take me home. "Hannah, can you give me another chance? I'll definitely forget her, let's start over." I sighed. A lost white moonlight. Transcending everything. There was absolutely no chance for us to start over. Liam leaned against the steering wheel, in immense pain. I only did those extreme things because I loved you too much. I knew I couldn't stay at this company anymore. So, I immediately handed over my work and prepared to resign. I changed my phone number and address, completely cutting off contact with previous people. But I didn't expect Liam to find my new address by all means. In the middle of the night, he frantically knocked on my door, begging for my forgiveness. I took out my phone to call the police. When the police arrived, Liam pretended to explain. He was just apologizing to his girlfriend, with no intention of disturbing her in the middle of the night. The police saw it was just a family matter. They only warned him a few times and left. I really had no other choice. I suddenly remembered the business card Arthur Bell had given me last time. I gritted my teeth and called him. "Captain Bell, someone is harassing me, can you come help me?" "Okay, send me the address, I'll be there right away." Arthur Bell arrived very quickly. Liam, scared by his identity, left. I opened the door and let him into my apartment. "I'm sorry to bother you, I really don't know what else to do." Arthur Bell looked like he wanted to say something but then stopped. "Is it convenient for me to ask you a few questions?" He was still in his uniform. It was clear he hadn't even finished work yet and had rushed over. "Of course." Arthur Bell carefully inquired about how Liam and I met. He even hinted, "During your time together, did you notice anything unusual?" I thought for a long time. Aside from his stubborn attachment to his ex-girlfriend, Liam was actually considered an ideal boyfriend. A wealthy family, excellent abilities, and a senior manager at a young age. Suddenly, an image flashed through my mind. If there's anything strange, it's that Liam treated his ex-girlfriend's parents exceptionally well, but I felt like the elderly couple seemed a bit afraid of him. Thinking back, every holiday, Liam would visit his ex-girlfriend's parents. They lived in an old residential area without an elevator, making it inconvenient to get around. Liam even rented a more convenient apartment for them in the city center. Every holiday, gifts and New Year's money were never lacking. Once, he even brought me to visit. When they saw me, the couple seemed uncomfortable. And they were very reserved towards Liam. His ex-girlfriend's mother had cooked us lunch, but just because there were a few scallions in the soup, Liam's face darkened. Lily never ate scallions. At that time, I cursed silently in my heart. He remembered his ex-girlfriend didn't eat scallions, but he kept pouring ginger sauce into my bowl even though I couldn't eat ginger. With just one word from Liam, his ex-girlfriend's mother immediately took the soup back, carefully apologizing. Arthur Bell frowned. "So, their relationship really is a bit strange." I thought for a moment longer, then added, "There's one more thing I don't understand, and that's every now and then, Liam would change their residence for the couple. I don't know what he's guarding against." Arthur Bell looked at me seriously. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. "What I'm about to tell you next, you should prepare yourself mentally." He took out a document from the folder he was carrying. This photo was taken at the dance studio where Liam's ex-girlfriend had her accident. I heard that the girl died in a fire at the dance studio. The old studio didn't have complete fire safety measures. When the fire spread, the situation became uncontrollable. The dance studio in the photo was burned beyond recognition. "Did you find anything?" Arthur Bell hesitated for a moment, but then still told me, "After the dance studio burned down, because the area was remote, no one dealt with or repaired it. Later, when the area was redeveloped and investors came in, they discovered that the fire at that time was very likely man-made. At the scene of the fire, there was a remaining section of an electrical circuit. The fuse in the electrical system had been cut off." He explained to me, "This type of fuse is typically used in old electrical circuits to prevent short circuits. If a short circuit occurs, the fuse automatically cuts off the power when it breaks. And the main cause of that fire was that the fuse was intentionally damaged, leading to a short circuit and the outbreak of fire." The incident happened 2 years ago. I wondered. Didn't the fire department find out that the fuse was damaged that day? That's exactly the problem. Arthur Bell's eyes became deeper. The person in charge of firefighting at that time was Liam's father. I remembered now, his father really was a firefighter, and he only retired last year. Thinking about it, I suddenly felt a little creeped out. Liam once said when he was drunk. At that time, his girlfriend was arguing with him and wanted to break up. He once threatened me maliciously. If I dared to leave him, my fate would be the same as his ex-girlfriend's. At that time, I just thought he was drunk. But the more I think about it now, the more something feels wrong. Fortunately, we broke up. I dare not imagine what would have happened if I had continued to be with him. Arthur Bell stood up and walked around my room. This is an old apartment complex, and the security isn't very good. I advise you to find another place to live. I forced a bitter smile. Captain Bell, given my current situation, it's already a blessing not to be sleeping on the streets. My mother's hospital bills for next month are still unpaid. I need to find a new job quickly. If Ms. Lewis doesn't mind, I have a vacant house, and the safety is quite good. What he meant by quite good safety was that it was directly across from Arthur Bell's apartment, with a police officer nearby 24/7. No evil spirits would dare come near. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to swallow my pitiful pride and accept the offer. After all, life is the most important thing. After the incident at the cemetery last time, Arthur Bell's mother also knew about me. Fortunately, she was quite open-minded. Seeing me alone, she often brought me food. Thanks to my previous experience, I quickly found a high-paying job. On the weekend, after paying the hospital bills, I left the hospital. I unexpectedly met Liam's ex-girlfriend's parents. The elderly couple staggered into the hospital, looking very flustered in front of the large self-registration machine. I proactively stepped forward to help. The old woman recognized me, with an expression that wanted to say something but held back. As I turned to leave, she suddenly called me back. "Girl, you're a good girl. There are some things you need to open your eyes and see clearly." I nodded. "I know, thank you, ma'am." Her eyes were vacant, staring straight ahead. When I got home, I happened to run into Arthur Bell coming home from work. A tall girl was waiting at his doorstep. Arthur's mother took the girl's hand and introduced her. "Arthur, this is Ms. Wong's daughter. She's been waiting for you for quite a while." The girl shyly glanced at him. "Captain Bell, do you still remember me?" Accidentally walking into a blind date scene, I quickly turned to leave, but unexpectedly, Arthur Bell suddenly called me back. "Hannah Lewis, didn't we agree to go out together later?" I was holding a bag of groceries I had just bought from the supermarket. He winked a signal, and I immediately replied, "Yes, I'm coming right away." We walked around the street for a while. When we got home, Arthur's mother stopped us at the door. "When did this start?" I was about to explain, but Arthur Bell quickly spoke up. "Just recently." His mother slapped her thigh. How could I not have noticed? Then she took out her phone and cancelled his upcoming blind dates. Afterward, Arthur Bell explained with a bit of embarrassment. "Things have been too busy lately, and I really didn't want to go on blind dates, so I asked for your help. Once Liam's case is over, I'll explain everything to my mother." He had helped me, so of course, I wouldn't refuse. In the following days, we developed an unspoken understanding in our companion relationship. Arthur Bell would drop me off at work first thing in the morning before heading to the police station. In the afternoon, at 5 o'clock, he would pick me up from work as usual. This went on for several days, completely thwarting Liam's chances of finding me alone. I also safely passed a month. Finally, just when I thought everything was gradually settling down, the hospital suddenly called me. "Ms. Lewis, your boyfriend came to help your mother with the transfer procedures. She's about to be moved to People's Hospital. Are you coming right away?" I was utterly surprised. My boyfriend? What's going on? The person in charge on the other end was also confused. He came with a copy of your ID and a handwritten authorization letter. Didn't you authorize him? I immediately said, no matter the situation, you cannot just hand my mother over to a stranger. But, the procedures are already complete. The People's Hospital ambulance has already arrived to pick up the patient. I quickly hung up, grabbed my bag, and rushed to the hospital. But at this moment, it was rush hour in the morning. The taxi was stuck in traffic. I kept calling Liam, but he always turned off his phone. Knowing his crazy personality, capable of anything, I could only text him, begging him not to harm my mother. When I arrived at the hospital, my mother had already been taken away. The hospital shirked responsibility, saying that Liam had brought a handwritten authorization letter and my ID, and they had sufficient evidence to allow the patient to be taken away. Now there was no time to argue. I could only choose to call the police. A profound sense of helplessness arose from within me. My mother was my only spiritual support in this world. I dared not imagine if something happened to her, whether I would still have the courage to live on. Very quickly, Liam called, "Hannah, let's get back together. I really can't live without you." I agreed without hesitation. "Okay, where are you? I'll come find you. Please don't hurt my mother." He laughed triumphantly on the other end of the line. "Alright, I knew it, you still have feelings for me. I'll send you the address. You must arrive within an hour. Remember, you must come alone. If you dare to bring that damn police officer, I can't guarantee your mother will be alive to see you again." This sentence completely hit my weak spot. Just then, Arthur Bell called. I hesitated for a moment, but still answered. He told me to stay put, that he had left the police station and was on his way. But I didn't dare to risk it. Liam was a lunatic. If I didn't arrive within an hour, my mother might truly lose her life. I immediately hailed a taxi to the agreed location. Liam had bought a small villa in the suburbs. Following the address, I rang the doorbell, and soon enough, he came down to open the door for me. Liam took my phone, turned it off, and removed the SIM card. "Welcome, Hannah, from now on, this will be our home." I said coldly, "Where's my mother? I want to see her safe first." He nodded and motioned for me to enter. I noticed a pair of ballet shoes by the door. Judging by their worn state, they were likely his ex-girlfriend's. Liam carefully placed my shoes next to them. Then he nodded in satisfaction. "Hannah, has anyone ever told you that your feet are perfect for ballet?" I maintained a cold expression, saying nothing. On the contrary, he became even more interested. He bent down, gently stroking the top of my foot. "Your arch is also very beautiful, truly wonderful feet." I tried to suppress the urge to vomit and kick this man. "I want to see my mother." He opened the basement door. My mother was locked in the basement, looking very weak. She softly called my name. "Hannah, you shouldn't have come here. He's a madman." My mother had been paralyzed in both legs and hospitalized for many years. How could she endure such a huge shock? I could only reassure her, "Don't worry, Mom, I'll get you out right away." Liam's request was simple. "Let's get back together. You move in here with me, and I'll pretend everything that happened before never did." I pretended to agree, feigning compliance. He was very pleased with my attitude. If Lily had been as obedient as you, it would have been so much better. I couldn't guess his mood. I could only temporarily play the role of his girlfriend. Feigning annoyance, "Still thinking about your ex-girlfriend, Liam, you're such a playboy." He laughed, pointing to the oil painting on the wall. "Hannah, she wasn't as obedient as you, so." Liam leaned close to my ear, whispering like a demon. "Only when she died, was she most obedient." In the oil painting on the wall, the girl was dancing, her figure graceful, but her face was obscured in a mysterious, dim light. I didn't dare to look for long, only feeling a chill. Liam closed all the windows and doors of the villa, not allowing me to step outside for even half a step. Worried about my mother's safety, I could only obediently comply. time passed by second by second. He also gradually lowered his guard with me. Hannah, as long as you don't leave me, we'll live here forever. He opened his laptop and began planning our future life. Suddenly, a photo fell out of his notebook. On the photo, stained with dried blood, Liam's eyes immediately darkened. Ah, this is a photo of Lily and that man. So it was here. The photo showed his ex-girlfriend and another man. The two were leaning against each other. The photo was taken a month before the fire. I probed, you wouldn't have burned down the dance studio just because she changed her mind, would you? Hearing me speak, he gave a strange laugh. Hannah, do you know what I like most about you? You're smart and sensible. That's much better than Lily. In my mind, I started calculating every second. Before coming here, I had sent my location to Officer Bell. He would probably arrive soon. Liam wouldn't let me go. Whether I followed his wishes today or not, my outcome would be the same. It would be like his ex-girlfriend, turning into dust in death. He wanted to express his eternal love. When I saw that oil painting, I understood. The artist of that painting was once an extremist religious figure. In the end, to preserve his art, he self-immolated. That artist once preached a theory before self-immolation. In this world, true emotions are unpredictable. Only by burning away in the most sincere moment, by death to fix that sincerity, can one achieve eternity in the physical sense. Liam wanted to kill me. I tried to delay, just to buy some time for my mother and me. Sure enough, he gradually lost patience. He closed his notebook. Hannah, tell me you love me, and are willing to die for me? I cursed silently, damn it. But my mouth still had to reply, of course, I'm willing to die for you. He was very happy that I coaxed him. He reached out and gently stroked my hair. That's good, I really want to keep you longer. As soon as I entered the house, I noticed that the yard was filled with flammable firewood and gasoline drums. With just a spark, this place could instantly ignite. He stared at me. Then he pulled out a lighter from his pocket, lit it, and threw it out the window. The fire erupted almost immediately. Liam yanked my hand. Okay, then let's die together. Finally, he revealed his true colors. I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I quickly pulled out the folding knife I had prepared from my bag, without differentiating, and stabbed him directly. Liam couldn't dodge in time and continuously retreated. I seized this opportunity to run downstairs to the basement and rescue my mother. But by now, the outside was filled with smoke. With just myself helping my mother, I couldn't get us out. My mother struggled. Hannah, don't worry about me, hurry and run. Between the two of us, it's better if one of us escapes. Don't say such silly things. If we truly met misfortune today, dying here was inevitable. I had lived with my mother since I was 8 years old. She was almost all the motivation I had to keep living. My mother and I staggered through the thick smoke. Her legs had no strength left, and she could only rely on my support to take a few more steps. The fire grew fiercer and fiercer. Finally, both of us were exhausted and collapsed to the ground. At this moment, I suddenly felt like laughing. When people are in utter despair, not only can they not cry, but they even want to laugh out loud. My mother tried to crawl over and shield my head. Hannah, it's all my fault. I couldn't protect you. If I hadn't implicated you, you wouldn't have to suffer like this. My heart was incredibly calm. Accepting fate, it's okay, Mom, we'll go reincarnate together now. In the next life, we can be sisters. My mother smiled. Who knows what will happen on the Yellow Springs Road? I gripped her hand tightly. Don't worry, I'll be your mother in the next life. Close to death, I realized how much I owed her in this life. If I hadn't dated a boyfriend like Liam, she wouldn't have had to suffer with me today. Suddenly, I felt the surrounding heat decrease significantly, and the smoke gradually dissipated. A cool sensation appeared above my head. It was water from a fire hose being discharged into the house. Arthur Bell appeared in my line of sight. He and another police officer quickly carried my mother and me out. By then, the fire was under control, and firefighters were clearing the scene. I had a narrow escape from death. I hugged my mother and cried profusely, then found it funny afterward. It turned out that where we collapsed was not far from the exit. With just a few more steps, we could have gotten out on our own. Arthur Bell took us to the ambulance. After a hospital checkup, luckily, we hadn't inhaled much smoke and had no serious problems. A little later, Arthur Bell and his colleagues from the police station came to take our statements. Liam has been arrested, you can rest assured. I breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Officer Bell. He gently nodded, asking tenderly, are you still feeling uncomfortable anywhere? No, everything's fine now. I thanked him repeatedly, and he just smiled. After breathing oxygen in the hospital room and completing the statements, I roughly understood the entire case. The fire at Liam's ex-girlfriend's dance studio was indeed caused by him. At that time, the girl wanted to break up with him and quickly started dating another man. Liam felt betrayed. After several unsuccessful attempts to apologize at the dance studio, he conceived the idea of murder. After his ex-girlfriend truly died in the fire, he secretly controlled her parents. He visited them every holiday, just to keep them from investigating the cause of their daughter's death. After his ex-girlfriend died, he pretended to be deeply devoted. He frequently visited the cemetery to mourn. Until I suggested breaking up. His murderous intentions flared up again, leading him to harm me multiple times. This time, he even almost burned my mother and me alive in the villa. Even the oil painting in the villa was painted with his ex-girlfriend's ashes. No wonder the painting looked more and more eerie the longer I looked at it. The police officer taking my statement told me to sign it. Then he joked, Ms. Lewis, your life was saved by our Captain Bell. You should repay Captain Bell well in the future. Arthur Bell glared at him. Stop talking nonsense, hurry and take the statement documents back to the station. The other person mumbled discontentedly. I wasn't wrong. You've always been paying attention to this case and Ms. Lewis, following it for 2 years. Otherwise. The younger police officer hadn't finished his sentence before Arthur Bell chased him out. He looked a little flustered. Don't listen to his nonsense, I was just doing my duty. Suddenly, I understood everything. It turned out that our first meeting at the cemetery was not a coincidence. That day, to provoke Liam, I had randomly chosen a grave to cry at. Arthur Bell must have known our whereabouts in advance. That's why he appeared there. The subsequent encounters, one was when I was threatened with a knife on the street and called out for his help. Another time was when Liam came to my house, and he came to rescue me. Later, he even let me stay in the apartment opposite his house. None of these things were accidental. They were what he had secretly arranged. Arthur Bell said awkwardly, originally, I just found the dance studio fire case back then very suspicious. So he investigated and found that the chain of evidence at that time was incomplete. It wasn't enough to charge Liam, but gradually, he discovered that Liam indeed had a motive for the crime. Then he started paying attention to me. He was a very careful police officer. He paid attention to many details in the case, which allowed him to determine the right time. And save me just in time. When you broke up with Liam, I realized there might be a problem. I just didn't expect him to be this insane. Before Liam's insane personality was revealed, he was considered a good boyfriend in all aspects, but when that love called control spun out of control, it would turn into a sharp knife piercing straight into me. It was also my carelessness that I didn't realize this earlier. After the incident, Arthur's mother also came to the hospital to visit me. She held my hand and said with concern, "Oh dear, such a good girl, why did you encounter such trouble?" Arthur's mother was tough on the outside but soft on the inside. She knew that Arthur Bell had used my name to reject a marriage proposal before and wasn't angry. She just sighed. I wonder when this son of mine will be able to get married. It must be because the ancestral grave's location isn't good. Wait until Qingming Festival, I'll invite a feng shui master to check it out and move the ancestral grave a bit. Arthur Bell said helplessly, Mom, please stop bothering the ancestral grave, okay? She replied very sharply, your father in the underworld isn't blessing you with an early marriage either. It's all his fault, no matter how you look at it. I just rechecked. There's still an empty spot next to your father's grave. I'm planning to buy it and move the grave there. Wait, next to? Wasn't that the grave next to Liam's ex-girlfriend? I instinctively glanced at Arthur Bell. He responded with a meaningful nod. We both remained silent, saying nothing. That empty plot of land was always reserved, arranged by Liam. Perhaps it was meant for me. He wanted to kill me, then have me be friends with his ex-girlfriend. I immediately gripped Arthur's mother's hand. Auntie, listen to me. There's no need to move the grave. Officer Bell and I are actually dating. Arthur's mother froze, then slapped her thigh. You're right. My son's room has your picture hanging every day. There's no way he doesn't have feelings. Mom, I told you, that's case material. The sunlight outside the window streamed in. The evening glow fell upon his police uniform, making his handsome face even more resolute and righteous. For the past 2 years, Arthur Bell had frequently appeared beside me, and yet I hadn't realized it at all. Just like my feelings for him, they unexpectedly bloomed without my knowledge. A hint of surprise flashed across Arthur Bell's face, but then, he smiled gently. He had a kind of hidden urban aura, though his presence wasn't easily noticed in normal times, he always appeared when most needed, making me feel incredibly secure. We got together in such a dramatic way. Both families were very happy. My mother, after the previous incident, was very pleased that I had a boyfriend who worked for the government and had passed the national examination. She always reminded me, out there, people from all walks of life are untrustworthy. Officer Bell is a party member, being with him is the best. After Liam was arrested, he constantly requested to see me. After I was discharged from the hospital, I visited him once in prison. He looked much thinner, staring at me with a haunting smile. Hannah Lewis, you're truly lucky. Someone saved you from my grasp. That's right, I'm not like you. The rest of my life will be spent in prison. He laughed without a care. What a pity, you didn't die. The grave I prepared is still empty after all. It's okay, just leave it for yourself. I believe you'll need it soon. Liam laughed, still as sharp as ever. I ignored him, stood up, and prepared to leave. He suddenly added, actually, that day at South Jiao Cemetery, I intended to kill you. I had all the tools prepared. If it weren't for that police officer, I would have done it. Don't think I don't know, he went there with a purpose that day. He'd been eyeing me for a long time. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. That day at South Jiao Cemetery, I had actively suggested breaking up with him. So that day, he had conceived the idea of killing me. I didn't dare to stay in prison long and hastily left. After Liam was arrested, his ex-girlfriend's parents came to see me once. The elderly couple thanked me for bringing justice for their daughter. For years, they had lived in fear and pain. Life was extremely difficult. After Liam was arrested, his father was also arrested for giving false testimony in the fire case that year. His mother couldn't accept this outcome and moved out of the city not long after. Justice was served, and everything returned to normal. 6 months after the case concluded, Arthur Bell and I officially decided to get married. It might sound strange, but after we got together, everything seemed to happen very naturally. He understood me, sometimes even more than I understood myself. He even knew that every Friday I went to a certain bakery to buy Basque cake. Actually, after you started dating Liam, I always tracked your every move. So he had known me for a long time. I joked, did you fall for me back then? Arthur Bell suddenly nodded seriously. I once thought, if I had guessed wrong about this case, and Liam was a good person, I would absolutely not interfere with your lives. Fortunately, all his deductions were reasonable and accurate. From the arson at the dance studio to the villa fire later, Liam was truly nothing more than a murderer. I suddenly felt lucky to have escaped death. So lucky that everything was still in time. Arthur Bell's love for me was always hidden beneath the guise of safety. Never actively approaching to bother me, but always appearing when I needed him most. Thank you, Mr. Bell. He was like a compensatory ticket that fate had given me. Just like that day on the street, just wanting to be rescued, I unconsciously called out husband. Now, that has become a reality. The end.